Host of Fox News MediaBuzz, Howard Kurtz. Howie, good to see you. Your reaction to Jorge's position?
Well, when Jorge Ramos says neutrality is not an option, well, hey, it stopped being an option for him years ago, especially after he staged that confrontation with Donald Trump last year, and when he started shouting at him, "You can't build a wall," and was still yelling, and security escorted him out. The problem, Megyn, is there are a lot of American-born journalists, publicly and privately, who agree with Jorge Ramos when it comes to Donald Trump.
Well, I mean, there's a question. You say he staged it. He had been trying to get an interview with Trump. He'd been denied. He wanted to confront him on some controversial statements Trump had made. Listen, as a journalist, I see no problem with showing up at the rally and shouting your question at a guy who's dodging you. We do that to Hillary Clinton, too.
But he didn't stop shouting.
She won't talk to anybody.
He kept shouting and shouting and shouting.
Then when he took positions, it became advocacy instead of journalism. That's true. But his point, what about, I mean, his point is, this is him. He says, you have somebody making racist statements. You have somebody making misogynistic statements. You have an obligation to call it for what it is. And take my example I used with him, Howie. If somebody comes on in an interview and says, so-and-so is the N-word, no journalist is going to let that slide. Jorge sees Trump's statements the same as that.
I have no doubt that he is sincere in his heartfelt opposition to Donald Trump. What he says, though, reminds me of what Jim Rutenberg, the New York Times media columnist, argued when he said that for journalists who view Donald Trump as dangerous, they are moving closer to being oppositional. And I've got to tell you, I feel really strongly about this. That does not feel or look or smell like journalism. You want to be oppositional, you feel so strongly that Donald Trump should not be president because you think he is racist or evil or a threat to Western civilization, fine. Quit your job, go crusade against him, become an op-ed columnist, whenever. Don't use the cloak of an anchor at a major network and pretend to be a journalist if you are opposing one candidate in a presidential race.
Because once you do that, once you decide Trump must lose, he's bad, he's racist, he's whatever, then what happens when something like the WikiLeaks documents come to you and you get all sorts of information on Hillary Clinton? Do you bury it? Do you say, I don't want to hurt her, so I'm not going to disclose this? You start walking down a very dangerous avenue.
Exactly. You pull punches against the other side. Great to see you.
Exactly. Great to see you, too.